Church here in Walnut Creek. I'm the Reverend Krista Fregoso, and it is my delight to say welcome back to the concert series. Here at St. Paul's, we believe that we consider part of our mission to be the light and love in Walnut Creek and in the Bay Area. And I can't think of a better way of bringing light and love to Walnut Creek than bringing beautiful music. So it is my delight to welcome Deborah Webster, who has been a big part of our concert series. Please, Deborah.
Yes, we're fumbling with our masks. So welcome to St. Paul's Concert Series. It is so good to be back, and we are so glad to be bringing you this concert tonight. Having been gone for 6 months, our hearts are just bursting to finally bring you some music, live music from St. Paul's. Music, it's the language of angels. It brings you comfort, but it goes beyond just comfort. It really it connects us directly with that source of food for our soul. And so now more than ever, I think we all need that. And so we are just so delighted to be able to bring this concert to you tonight. In this room, we have a skeletal crew of 4. It is very different when this room is empty, but part of a good side of doing a concert in this way is we get to pick where we would like our performers to sit. And so instead of being up front, we have chosen another spot. I know a lot of our parishioners know this area as the Ramsel altar window. You can see behind me the stained glass, and it's not only beautiful, but it has exceptional acoustics. And it is a lot closer to our power outlets. So it helps us use these 3 cameras that we have that we're bringing the concert to you through. So, well, without further ado, I would like to introduce our performer tonight. Our performer is renowned around the country and also very well known in Spain, and having performed for numerous symphonies, and both live and various recordings. In fact, she just released an album this week called Tango del Cielo, and she will be picking some of the pieces from that album to play for you tonight. So without further ado, please welcome Anna Maria Mendieta.
Hello everyone, my name is Anna Maria Mendieta, and it makes me so happy to be here today. It's wonderful to be a part of the initial concert, online concert series. And so I want to thank Deborah and the church here for having me. We're going to have a fun program today that will incorporate really many different styles. And what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about the harp as we go. So we're going to start way back to the Renaissance time. And this is during the time where harpists were known as harpers, and they were a very important part of society. They would travel from village to village, and they would strap their harps across their backs, and as they would travel, they would actually tell the news of the day. They would sing songs and really bring joy and excitement, and this piece in particular was a very popular piece during that time period. Well, let's begin with something that I'm pretty sure that you're going to recognize. We're going to go back to the time of King Henry VIII. Thank you very much. Now that was, of course, the famous Greensleeves. And I have to say, as a harpist, probably Greensleeves is the most requested piece of all. I'd like to share with you now a piece from Marie Antoinette's time. This is called Sonatina, and it's by Johann Dussek. Now, just a little bit of trivia that I'm sure you don't know is that Marie Antoinette played the harp. And she actually enjoyed entertaining her guests as she played. Now, at that time, the harp was just developing into a much more complex instrument. The harp before Marie Antoinette's time was a very simple instrument. As I mentioned, the minstrels played small harps that were small enough to strap across their backs. But as the other instruments developed, the harp needed to too. And so to allow the harp to play in all the keys, there was a special invention that enabled the harp to do that. And that was the invention of the pedals. Now, something you may not know or realize is that I'm moving the pedals behind the harp while I play. So now you know the secret behind the long gowns. There's a lot of fancy footwork happening while we play. Well, the pedals are behind the harp. I have 7 pedals for the 7 notes in the scale. And this is what happens. Pedals are connected to rods inside this column, and they control the discs above the strings. Right now I have my foot on the C pedal. There are 7 pedals for the 7 notes in the scale. So the C pedal would control all the Cs. This is C flat, this long. If I move the pedal, it shortens the string a half step. And if I move the pedal again, it shortens it again. So here we go. And so basically, that's what I'm doing as I'm playing. So whatever key I'm playing in, I set the pedals in a certain pattern, then I'm ready to begin the piece. Until there are sharps and flats or key changes, then I have to move those pedals very, very quickly. Well, in Marie Antoinette's time, Marie Antoinette had a very special harp built for her. And there was a rumor that the harp was made of glass, so that she could entertain her guests with all the mechanical workings of the harp. I'd like to share a piece that was very popular during that time. This is the Sonatina by Johann Dussek. going to move up a little further in time. Harpists, just like all musicians, were a very important part of the royal court. Musicians were hired to compose for the very special events like processions or inaugurations or coronations or the grand ball. And a very famous event was, of course, the time to gather to dance. A very favorite dance was the jig. I'd like to share with you Giga by Arcangelo Corelli. The jig is a very fast dance with very quick steps, and you'll feel that in the music. We're going to move forward in time a little bit more now to the time of the Impressionists. The Impressionist composers were very much like the Impressionist artists of the day. Like Monet and Degas, there were composers like Ravel and Debussy. And just like the art of the time, the artists painted with swashes of color. So much so that if you took a close look at the painting, you couldn't quite make out what the figures were until you took a step back, and then you could see the figures come to life. Well, the same thing with music. The Impressionist composers composed with tonal colors, and they created very descriptive pieces. Debussy is a favorite composer of mine, and I would love to share this piece with you. It's called En bateau, which means in the boat. When I play the piece, I can't help but imagine floating along a river in France. When you hear the music, you'll feel the sway of the boat from side to side. You'll hear in the music as the boat reaches rockier waters, and you'll hear in the music how descriptive it is. You'll even feel the bounce of the waves during that middle section of the piece. And then what I want you to do is listen to the very end of the piece. You'll hear in the music when the boat reaches calmer waters again. I want you to listen for all of those things. Ladies and gentlemen, this is En bateau by Claude Debussy. I hope you enjoy it. this next piece is a wonderful piece because it demonstrates all the different sound effects and techniques that can be done on the harp. At the time that it was composed, in 1927, the harp was really looked at as an instrument that was very dainty and a drawing room instrument. But there was a composer, his name was Carlos Salcedo, who was a pianist and conductor and saw the harp as an instrument that had a lot of potential, but hadn't yet been recognized. So he took it upon himself to explore the instrument, and he developed many different sound effects and really developed a whole new technique of playing the harp. At the time, the piece really shocked audiences because the harp was doing things that nobody had expected it to do. So I'm going to give you a few things to look for when I play the piece. Now, most of the time, I play the harp right in the middle of the strings, where it gives its warmest tone. Now, during the piece, Salcedo has the harpist playing down by the sounding board at times to give it a very crisp, guitar-like tone. Can you tell the difference? Yes. Well, definitely he used harmonics, which you saw me play in the Debussy piece. Very much like a bell sound. Now, he even changed the glissando a bit. The glissando is probably the most famous effect created on the harp. Well, Salcedo changes that, and he has the harpist play with the back of the nails to give it a very special effect. And he enjoyed calling this the falling hail effect. Well, this piece has lots of surprises, and I don't want to give them all away, so you're going to have to watch. Watch them very carefully, because even the hand gestures are a part of the expression of the piece. Ladies and gentlemen, Chanson de la Nuit, which means Song in the Night, by Carlos Salcedo. Thank you. The next piece that I'm going to play for you is a fascinating piece by Astor Piazzolla called Introducción al Ángel, which means Introduction of an Angel. It was composed for a tango ballet, which was very unique in itself. The ballet was about an angel that came down from heaven to the city of Buenos Aires to cleanse and purify the city. This piece was composed to open for the entire ballet and set the scene. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, Piazzolla is famous for his tangos, and he was one that stretched the envelope for the tango. And so what I find fascinating about his music is that he uses the instruments not just as melodic instruments, but as percussive instruments too. So what you witnessed with what I did on the harp were techniques and sound effects that a lot of the other instruments do when they play tango. So to explain a little bit more, I was fascinated with Piazzolla's music, and so I really searched everywhere for arrangements for the harp, and I couldn't find any. So I was very lucky to meet Pablo Ziegler, who was Piazzolla's pianist for 10 years. And after Piazzolla had passed away, Pablo basically carried the torch and did the same thing. He stretched the envelope of the traditional tango. And at the time, he was told by many people that he couldn't do tango music without a bandoneon player. Bandoneon is the traditional instrument for tango. Well, he decided that he would prove them wrong, and he did. He won the 2006 Grammy Award for the Best Tango Album, and I was very lucky to meet him at that time in 2006, and I told him about my project of creating tango music for the harp, and he was fascinated. So he took me under his wing, and we started exploring how to be able to incorporate the harp for that music. And that piece that I just played for you, the Introducción al Ángel, was the very first piece that we created together with the harp playing Piazzolla's music. Well, I'd like to play some more pieces actually that are from the album. This last piece was on the latest album that was just released last week. This is Tango del Cielo, which means Tango of Heaven, featuring tango and flamenco music. And I'm very honored to be joined by an incredible orchestra of fantastic musicians, Grammy Award-winning composers and arrangers, and it's a very exciting album. So I hope that you find it online, tangodelcielo.com. And I'm going to be ending the program with many selections from this album. So the next piece is one that's a very famous Spanish piece for guitar. It's by Isaac Albéniz. It's called Asturias. And the reason why I incorporated it as a part of this project is that actually tango and flamenco music are very much connected. In fact, during this time of Asturias, when that was written, there were many travelers that would go from Spain to Argentina, to South America, and by way of Cuba, and come back to Spain again. And there was that was called, there was a special name of basically round-trip songs. And so they would incorporate a lot of the South American rhythms in their music. Well, this is a very famous flamenco piece. It's called Asturias. very much. Thank you. Well, I'd like to return to Piazzolla's music, and just as he is so much known for his tangos, there's a wonderful treasure of a piece that people aren't aware of, and it's a beautiful Ave Maria. And I would love to share this with you. This is by Astor Piazzolla, the Ave Maria. with a couple of Spanish pieces. This one is tientos, which is kind of a play on words meaning temptations. But tientos is actually a type of style in flamenco music. And this particular piece was composed for a very interesting harp. It was composed for a chromatic harp. A chromatic harp was a harp that was invented to basically allow for sharps and flats, allow for chromatics, but without the pedals. That harp, the chromatic harp, had 2 rows of strings that crisscrossed in the middle, almost resembling the coloring of a piano. One side would be white and one side would be black. And the harp was a fascinating instrument. It didn't really last that long. There are very few harpists that play a chromatic harp, but the music is fantastic. And so I've incorporated this piece for the harp, for the pedal harp. It's called Tientos by Raúl La Parra. Thank you very much. Before I play the final piece, I'd like to thank everyone. Thank you very much to St. Paul's Church. Thank you very much, Deborah, for all of your help. And to the cameraman here, and to our wonderful audience as well. Thank you so much for being here. So excited. I appreciate everything. And again, I'm so honored to be here, and I wish you all the very best. So let's keep the arts going. Come back for more concerts with this concert series. They have a wonderful lineup for the future, and so I encourage you to come back again. And then we'll have a Q&A after I finish this piece. Is that right, Deborah?
That's right.
Yay. Okay, good. So this final piece is a very famous piece. It's about Spain, composed by a Cuban composer, Ernesto Lecuona. This is Malagueña. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yay. So, shall we? Let's do that.
So, as we mentioned, we're going to have a little question and answer session here because I know you probably have lots of questions.
Thank you.
Can you even hear me?
Thank you.
Grab the microphone. As I started to say, we're going to have a question and answer session because I know you probably have lots of questions that you'd like to ask Anna Maria, and being that we're live, we have this opportunity. So please type in any questions that you have for Anna Maria, and we will have a little chat session here with her, okay? While we're getting ready here, again, thank you everyone for joining us, and especially for those that have donated towards our concert series program. This is what makes us able to continue doing these performances, so we greatly appreciate your donations. And next September, or next month, we will have a concert. We'll feature Duo SF. It's a classical guitar duet on September 19th. So we hope you tune in for that concert as well. So, let's see. I'm going to hold the mic between us. Okay. So, well, first of all, there's lots of wonderful comments coming in for you. And so question number one, when did you know that you were going to be playing harp and take off the harp?
Well, actually, I was 5 years old when I knew I wanted to play the harp. Both of my parents were musicians, so we were raised listening to classical music in the house. And my father used to take great pride in collecting many, many instruments. But harp happened to be the one instrument we didn't have in the house, and so I wanted to be different. And so for me, it was either the harp or the bagpipes. But at age 5, I could spell harp, so that's really what did it.
You mentioned that you have been in featured in a number of symphonies. Where are you performing right now with which group, other than the fact that it's a little difficult with COVID performances, but...
Well, before COVID, yes. I am the principal harpist with the Sacramento Philharmonic and also the Vallejo Symphony as well. And before COVID, I was also playing for the San Francisco Symphony's Adventures in Music program on a daily basis as part of their outreach to the schools. And so we were performing literally 2 to 4 concerts a day beginning in January, and normally it would go in through May, but because of COVID, everything stopped, of course. But as a freelance artist too, I am constantly freelancing with all of the orchestras in the Bay Area, including San Francisco Opera and the San Francisco Ballet, Santa Rosa Symphony, Symphony Silicon Valley, you name it, I'm there. So, and also, of course, during this time, it would have been with the Mendocino Music Festival during the summer.
A question about the colors of the strings. Can you tell us about that?
That's a good question. Okay. Very good question. Very observant. Well, the colored strings are really there so I can tell the notes apart. So if you can imagine that all of the strings being the same color, there would really be no way. But just on every instrument, just like on the piano, you have your patterns that are really your guide to know the notes. This is standard on all harps. The red strings are C's, the black strings are F's, and the white strings are the notes in between.
I'm waiting for this to finish. Okay. And if there's any questions from folks in the audience here.
Oh, good.
I haven't seen it yet.
That's a very good question. Just like guitarists and bass players, or any string player for that matter, we develop calluses on the ends of our fingers, exactly at the point that touches the strings. The callus skin actually not only protects the skin, but for us, it gives a particular tone that we are looking for on the harp, on the instrument. So this means with the callous skin, which is tough, tough skin, I can touch hot pots and pans and not even feel it.
A few questions came in about the physical nature of the harp. For example, how heavy is it? And secondly, how do you transport it?
Well, that's a good
And I watched as Anna Maria came here, so I'm anxious to hear the answer.
Well, the harp itself, this harp, it's a concert grand. This is as large as they come. This harp is about 100 pounds, but they come in all sizes. And I travel with a harp dolly. I just put everything on wheels and I can roll it anywhere. And I do carry the harp or transport the harp in a station wagon. So I had to take my tape measure with me as I was shopping for cars, shopping for wagons, and I had to make sure that the back of the car was 6 feet 4 inches to make sure to fit the harp. And at the time that I was in college when I got my first car, I wanted a black wagon. I thought it would be so cool. And when I went shopping for wagons, I couldn't find one that was black. And the one dealership that did, I went and I measured the back of the car, and they looked at me with such an odd face, wondering what I was doing. And after I signed the contract, then the man said, "Okay, I have to ask you, what is it that you do?" And so I explained that I'm a harpist, and he just laughed and laughed because I didn't know it, but the standard size coffin is 6 feet 4 inches too.
And yes, from our cameraman.
Do you ever jam with other musicians or just sit and improvise?
Oh, yes, I do.
And the question was, do you ever jam with other musicians and just improvise?
Definitely, definitely. It's so much fun to play with other musicians. It's like being a part of a team. And when you're playing together, whether you're playing with music or improvising, the wonderful challenge is that we are constantly listening to each other and building the music with each other. It's like dancing, but dancing with music. You have to live and listen very carefully and be intuitive to what the other person is doing musically and answer back with your instrument. It's so much fun.
Oops, I just lost my comments. Again, if there's any more questions, now would be the time. Oh, yes.
I noticed you use the different colors and different parts of the string. Is that written in the music, or do you just make that up, or is that traditional?
And the question was, on the Malagueña song, were the strings in particular specific, the different colors of the strings, or did she add her own fingering on that?
Thank you for asking. Yes, I was placing my hands on the strings, particularly at times close to the sounding board, where the string is actually at its tightest point, right at the sounding board. And so I did that on purpose to give it the effect of a guitar. So very, very good, very observant. Thank you.
And another question just about the calluses on your fingers. How long did it take for you to build those up?
It takes a while to build the calluses. It doesn't take long to lose them. If I don't practice for a few days, I lose them, but then it takes a long time to build them again, a couple of weeks to build them in full.
Okay.
Next question is, how many hours do you practice a day?
And how many hours do you practice a day?
How many hours do I practice a day? Oh my goodness. Well, it all depends on what I'm preparing for. That's really the key. If I'm preparing for a concert or an audition or a recording, the question is really, when am I not practicing? Because I'm practicing constantly, all the time. And if I'm down to the wire, I'm at the harp more than I'm anywhere else. I only stop to eat and sleep, and that's it. But I'm also performing so much. At least before COVID, I was performing literally every day. So I was getting my hours in, many hours in, just with performing.
And the last question that I've seen in the comments are, the explanations really added to your concert series
try to. Thank you.
So the question was, the explanations for all the pieces were so helpful in enjoying the concert, and do you do that for most performances?
Well, thank you very much. I enjoy all the background history about the music, and I think that it's important for all of us to understand the music better, understand the composers, understand the background, and even the trivia. All helps to the whole overall enjoyment of the piece. I know I enjoy it, so I'd love to share that with you as well. Thank you so much.
Well, it's been wonderful, including everyone from home on this performance. And again, we thank Anna Maria Mendieta here for kicking off our fall season and as well our online season. And we look forward to many more concerts. And if you want to order your new album, actually. Okay. We have a link on our website as well, but let's see, annamariamendieta.com would be one place that you could find that link, and also on our site as well. It's St. Paul's Walnut Creek, so stpaulswc.org/concert-series. So,
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Deborah. And yes, the CD, the album is called Tango del Cielo, which means Tango of Heaven. And if you go directly to the site, the album site, www.tangodelcielo, that's Tango for Tango del DEL Cielo, CIELO.com, there's a 50% discount code there on the site. So use that code as my gift to you to order the album. And thank you so much. I appreciate your support, and I hope you enjoy the album. We had so much fun making it, and we hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
now I'd like to invite Reverend Krista Fregoso back to center stage.
I so appreciate you joining us tonight and having such a talented musician. So thank you so much for coming and being a part of this concert series. This concert series is important to us and our entire community, and we would like to keep it going. So I can ask for you, if you have time and energy to, and this is something that you really enjoyed, to go onto our website and to click on the Give section and continue to give to St. Paul's Walnut Creek. And you can also put in the comments concert series so that we know exactly why you're giving the money, and we can continue to do important functions like this to support our local artists and to be a part of the light and love we hope to bring to Walnut Creek and all of California, if not more, the world. Yay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a good evening.